Welcome to The Source, where we combine the headlines with in-depth conversations with the newsmakers themselves. I'm Pinky Webb. Today on the program, President Rodrigo Duterte slams critics over missing in action claims during Super Typhoon Rolly's wrath. Also, the president appoints Carlito Galvez as vaccine czar, but can he handle the critical and complex requirements of the job? And later we get an update that President Rodrigo Duterte will give the go signal to release his statement of assets, liabilities, and net worth, or SALN. Presidential spokesperson Harry Roque joins us live. More than 100 cities in at least 4 regions are struggling with power outage and water interruptions, while some passengers remain stranded as Super Typhoon Rolly leaves Philippine territory. Camarines Sur Representative El Rey Villafuerte calls on the national government to allot considerable time and effort to help devastated provinces get back on their feet. He also urges the government to form a special task force to oversee major rehabilitation work. Is this something President Rodrigo Duterte may consider? Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Secretary Roque, welcome to the source. And as usual, thank you for your time.
It's always a pleasure, Pinky. Good morning.
Catanduanes, Secretary, and Albay are said to be the worst hit areas due to Typhoon Rolly. Okay, the president conducted an aerial inspection and he landed in Ginubatan, Albay. Can you just give us more information on what the president saw and what he said, or even what he told the residents there?
Well, he saw for himself the extent of devastation, no? And that's why the standing order of the president to all departments and agencies of government is to take all steps necessary to help the typhoon-struck provinces to recover, no, and rise anew. No? So that is why immediately after the aerial inspection and his trip to Ginubatan, no, there was also another meeting with all cabinet members concerned, no? Not only for the cabinet secretaries to report the extent of devastation, but more importantly, to report the government response to the devastation. And the president so far has been satisfied insofar as typhoon preparedness was concerned. We were able to limit the casualties, and it could have been more because this was a super typhoon, but he's pleased to note that the local government units acted promptly, in asking residents in low-lying areas to evacuate, and thereby reducing, minimizing the number of casualties. The task now is to rebuild, and we're focused now on number one.
Yes.
Catanduanes is completely isolated, so the president has ordered the national, the Department of Energy and the local water LUA, to do all that is necessary to reconnect the telecommunications of Catanduanes, as well as to repair the water work system, because we know that without water, the province might be prone to other dangers, health dangers in particular. Yesterday, there were already C-130 flights that brought in water supplies to Catanduanes, as well as food. And I know also that the NDRMMC also sent food and water by land already to both Albay and to Catanduanes. So relief has been provided by the local government to all these typhoon ravaged areas. And the advice of the Department of Budget and Management is for local government units that have used up their calamity funds, they can tap the Quick Reaction Fund of national agencies which have them, including the OCD, the BWH, the DepEd, the SWD, and other agencies.
The issue of Catanduanes, I know that you obviously certainly know this, that even on Twitter that was trending, nasaan ang Catanduanes, because many of the netizens were asking, bakit walang balita sa Catanduanes? I just want to find out, is the president planning to go there too?
It's difficult for the president to travel at the time of COVID, But I'm a personal friend of Governor Joseph Kua, and that's why we made sure that we at least resumed, no, or connected Catanduanes somehow by VSAT, no, and we were able to contact him Monday, no. We successfully, well, OCD
Yes.
sent a team of personnel with satellite phone and VSAT facilities, and that's why we were able to connect with Governor Kua, no. And the C-130 that I mentioned left yesterday for Catanduanes, and I'm sure there are more C-130 flights, no. So we are giving priority to Catanduanes because it is isolated as an island. They have no electricity, they have no telecoms, they have no water, no. So, but in due course, I think we will be able to partially restore telecoms. Smart and Globe have committed to government that they will do what is necessary to reconnect the island at least for communication purposes. I think Smart may have an opportunity because they will install a microwave that will restore, if not totally, at least partially, the service of Smart in Catanduanes.
So also with regards to Catanduanes, the reports are it's about 80 to 90% of the infrastructure is actually damaged over there. And about 10,000 small houses were also destroyed. What would be the immediate plan of government for Catanduanes and its residents? Okay, I understand. I heard you yesterday also, sir. There's a C-130 on its way yesterday. I'm sure and a number of others bringing in food and water. But more than that, more than the food and water needs, what about the houses and the infrastructure?
For now, Governor Kua requested for Tupad, no, cash for work because he has to clean up the black roads, no, so that they can deliver relief goods to everyone in Catanduanes. And I'm happy to report that yesterday, while we were having our live press briefing, we were able to contact Secretary Bello, and he committed to give cash Tupad to 5,000 citizens, no, so they can begin the process of cleaning up and enabling relief goods to be distributed throughout the island. No? So that's the number one priority, clean up the roads so that we can deliver the relief goods that are needed by the people. And then, of course, it's very important to restore water because we can live without power, but we cannot live without water. And while there's no water, no, to ensure that water is airlifted and supplied by sea. No? As of yesterday, they could not even use the port in Catanduanes because there's a sunken roro there. No? But I understand from Secretary Tugade that they have successfully removed or in the process of removing that sunken vessel. And he has told me that he already has a roro preparing to sail. And that is why I have also asked donors not to provide rice and more water so that we could load it in the roro because there's only so much water that you can load in a C-130. No? So if somehow this will get to Governor Kua, parating na rin po ang roro. So nagkaroon na po ng paraan para makadaong ang roro dyan sa inyo sa Catanduanes, meaning there will be more relief goods on its way in addition to those being brought in by air.
So let's talk about what happened in Ginubatan. So what I wanted to find out, sir, is that when we spoke to a resident there, ang sabi po sa amin is that that area somewhere in, I think it is, I believe it's San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken, sir. In Albay, sa Ginubatan, Albay, kung saan po nagragasa yung lahar and yung pong mga malalaking bato. Ang sabi ko kasi sa amin is that they didn't think that yung area na yon yung tatamaan. Okay, so tumama po doon, but the problem is this. Quarrying operations, as we found out, continues around Mount Mayon. So I just wanted to ask you, is quarrying really a good idea around an active volcano?
Well, I'm not a technical person, but from a layman's point of view, it may have its utilities. No? Because remember, after a volcano explodes, there will be lahar deposit, and unless you get rid of the lahar deposit, it will eventually come down. No? So I think that's the rationale why they allowed quarrying, because number one, there's lahar, and number two, you need to remove the lahar. No? I know for a fact that the governor of Albay has requested from NDRMMC funding precisely, to deal with the deposited lahar in the volcano, because eventually it will come down. But we have partially, I believe last week there was 833 million pesos released for Albay for the purpose of somehow dealing with the deposited lahar. But that's why there are ongoing quarrying activities there, because we also need to remove those deposits, aside from the fact that it is, of course, a source of livelihood. But having said that, I think the complaint gathered by the president was, in the process of quarrying, they actually were gathering lahar deposits, and they were mountains of basically soil deposits that were intended to be hauled out of the area. But when the typhoon struck, they were there, so making the lahar flow even worse than it could have been. But I know that the president has instructed Secretary Cimatu to investigate right away. And on the same day that the order was issued, Secretary Cimatu immediately contacted his people on the ground. Of course, there are no activities ongoing right now because it is after the typhoon. But I think they're now investigating whether or not these lahar activities must continue. But from the point of view of practicality, you need to remove the lahar deposits around the volcano. And number two, of course, livelihood for the people of Albay.
Let's go to Camsur, Sec Roque. Intense flooding also in Camarines Sur, now under a state of calamity. See, Congressman El Rey Villafuerte was actually proposing the creation of a task force that would lead the rehabilitation efforts in the Bicol region, and I believe also in Calabarzon. Do you think the president would be inclined to do this?
Well, if you notice, a task force perhaps is unnecessary, because the style of the president is, in case of disasters, he relies on the people on the ground right now. And right now we have the PWH having prepositioned equipment already for precisely post-typhoon rehabilitation efforts. Although Camarines Norte and Albay are also equally hard hit like Catanduanes, they're not actually isolated, because the roads are now passable. There are about 5 roads still in that region which are unpassable, and that's the priority of DPWH. But as soon as all the roads are passable, then the rehabilitation process would, of course, be immediately underway in Camarines Sur and in the rest of Albay. So what we're saying is, number one, government was prepared for this. We have prepositioned even equipment for DPWH and food packs. And number two, the president is on top of the rehabilitation effort. Task force may not be necessary because the president is personally attending to ensure that the rehabilitation of these devastated areas will proceed as soon as possible.
There was a Senate hearing yesterday on this alleged red tagging, and I do remember Senator Risa Ontiveros also proposing another thing on this. She said that maybe a portion of the budget of the National Task Force, the NTF-LCAC, for barangay development, a portion of that can actually be tapped to use for rehabilitation efforts. Would that also, do you think that might also be a good idea to add funds to the areas devastated by the typhoon?
I think that's the objective of LCAC. The objective of LCAC is to promote development in areas with ongoing insurgencies, because we know that poverty is still the root cause of insurgency. So I don't think there's any inconsistency with the proposal to actually spend funds in the typhoon damaged areas, because it's, I think, a fact that Bicol also is a hotbed for insurgency. So that will be within the mandate of LCAC. Mm-hmm.
All right, we need to take a very short break. The President's SALN, we're going to talk about that. The appointment of Secretary Carlito Galvez as vaccine czar and other topics. This is The Source on CNN Philippines. Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our guest today, presidential spokesperson Harry Roque. Secretary Roque, I was looking at the numbers, the COVID numbers, And it seems, according to the Department of Health, we're actually seeing better or improved numbers. Why? Because 4 weeks ago, we were averaging about 2,500 cases. And about 2 weeks ago, this went down to about 1,890. So that's about a 25% drop. So the question is, why? To what do we attribute these improved numbers? Or did the numbers improve because the Red Cross halted their testing for PhilHealth funded testing?
Well, I'm sure somehow the acts or the action of PRC in stopping their testing somehow contributed, because less testing, of course, means less numbers, no? But I think by and large, people have been compliant with minimum health standards, and of course, we have the president no less endorsing in a commercial, no, that people should wear masks, should wash hands, and should observe social distancing. No? I think people know by now what to do to prevent the further spread of the disease, and they have been cooperating. Our slogan right now is "Ingat Buhay para sa Hanap Buhay," and I think people know that they need to observe minimum health standards so that they can go back to work and earn their livelihoods.
Absolutely. Okay. But I guess we need to look at the next week's numbers, no, Secretary Roque, because last Monday, I believe we were back at 2,300. So what I'm trying to analyze is that the last 2 weeks where the numbers went down could have been superficial because of the halting of the testing of Red Cross. We have discussed this over and over again, Secretary. Was it supposed to be an executive order on a price cap on the RT-PCR? What's the latest on that?
That's awaiting the signature of the president. And together with the SALN, all this will have to take second. We'll have to set it aside right now, because the task right now is to help the typhoon ravaged areas recover. No? So I guess that's the status. No? The president is in Manila. He's focused on rehabilitation efforts, but right now he wants to make sure that, number one, that the basic necessities be received by the victims of this typhoon, and everything else are not considered as important as the rehabilitation effort right now.
But the RT-PCR price cap is also quite important, sir. And you definitely would agree with me. We were talking about that, I guess, a month ago, dahil nga yung iba sobrang taas po ng kanilang costing sa
Well,
RT-PCR. And we know
the
that's the
way I
gold
look at
standard.
it, no, kung masyadong mataas sila, people will simply not go there. And that's why I've been announcing that in Tala Leprosarium, in Philippine Children's Medical Center, in NKTI, in Lung Center, and in Las Piñas Perpetual Health Hospital, you can have your PCR test for 1,750 up to 2,000. And then, of course, you have PRC at 4,000, no, including the certificate. No? Other private labs also offer 3,500. No? So I think it is an exception that you have labs charging as much as 20,000, because right now with 125 laboratories and 122 PCR laboratories and 35 gene expert laboratories, I think people do have a choice on where to go. And that's why I've been announcing that in areas with donated machines, in labs with donated machines, you can get it as cheap as 1,750. And soon, I understand that the pilot study for pooled PCR testing has been concluded, and soon we will have pooled testing PCR, and that will further reduce the cost of PCR testing to about 750 to 1,000 pesos. So with or without the executive order, I think the market is pushing down the prices because of the increased number of laboratories and the fact that we've been publicizing where people can go for cheaper PCR tests.
Right, but an executive order will definitely lower that price, sir. Matatakot na po yung mga that ask for a high number, mas lalo na kung manggaling po yun sa presidente.
Well, of course, I do not dispute that would still be ideal. Pero yung mga 20,000, naku, si who can afford 20,000 anyway for the PCR test. No? So even without the price cap, I think the 20,000 will only have the billionaires not as clients. No? And how many billionaires do you have anyway? No? Basta ulitin ko lang po, dyan po tayo sa Tala Leprosarium,
Okay.
Philippine Children's Medical Center, NKTI, Lung
Okay.
Center, at
Okay.
Perpetual Health Hospital. All over the countries din po, meron din mga donated machines. And I will flash them again when in my next press briefing, and I will also circulate this to the media so that people, the media can help assist the people go to labs which charge only from 1,750 to 2,000 per PCR tests.
Yun ang dapat nating tangkilikin. Secretary Roque, again, we need to take another short break. The source will be right back. Secretary Roque, previously you said that you would talk to the president and ask him if he would actually allow the release of his SALN. I just want to know, have you brought it up with the president, and what did he say?
Well, the times that we have talked, it's about the typhoon. So no, I haven't brought it up. But we have another meeting tomorrow, and he will make another address to the nation on COVID. And perhaps there, I will then bring up the matter. But there was no opportunity to do it
All right.
When we last met, because it was all focused on Typhoon Rolly.
But personally, you think it's a good idea that his SALN be released?
I don't think there's a conscious effort to conceal, because he has complied with it, but he is just respecting the recent guidelines issued by the Ombudsman, because after all, the Ombudsman is a constitutional body tasked with promoting accountability amongst public officers. No? So all he's saying is, let's respect the guidelines issued by the Ombudsman and let's comply with those guidelines.
Okay, I need to talk about the VFA very quickly. I don't know if you can give us any update on this. Sir, June 1 suspended the abrogation of the Visiting Forces Agreement. This will end in 6 months. That should be sometime in December. Where is the president's plan? Which direction is he planning to take regarding the Visiting Forces Agreement?
That has the option of being further extended by another 6 months. No? So my thinking is perhaps the president will invoke the second 6 month time, no, to finally abrogate the VFA. But anyway, what I'm saying is there's no immediate rush for the president to decide, because the notification we sent to the Americans gives them at least 1 year leeway before it is abrogated.
Right. And Secretary, the U.S. elections, any changes in our relationship in the event Mr. Trump is reelected, or if Mr. Joe Biden wins?
You see, the State Department ensures continuity as far as U.S. foreign policy is concerned. So we don't expect any major changes, no, in the bilateral relations between the Philippines and the United States. Of course, there's an issue of personal relations, but I think given time, the president can establish an equally warm personal relations with whoever wins these elections, if it's not President Trump. All the president needed really was a year or two, and he was able to foster personal friendship with President Trump. And even if there's a new president, I'm not saying that there will be, but in case there is a new president in the United States in the person of Senator Biden, I'm confident that the president can also develop close personal friendship with Mr. Biden. May the best man win as of now.
Secretary, yes, just your personal take on this. Who do you think is going to win?
You know, even U.S. media sources, CNN, Fox, are very cautious in making their forecasts now. No? So I think I will follow their lead and really just allow the results to come in.
Last question, just a confirmation. The president will address the nation. Is this going to be tomorrow night, or would this be tonight and aired tomorrow morning?
No, we just had our PCR test today. So today's Wednesday. We are meeting with him tomorrow, Thursday. It will be hopefully aired also on Thursday night.
Presidential Spokesperson Harry Roque. Sir, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras.
Thank you as well. Good day to all of you.
And thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.